There is a white powder sitting in the laundry aisle of your grocery store or hardware store right now. It costs between $1 and $2 for a bag that will last your household for 2 full years of oven cleaning. You mix 3 tablespoons of it with enough warm water to make a thick paste. You spread that paste across the interior walls, the bottom, the ceiling, and the door glass of your oven. You walk away. You come back 2 hours later, or the next morning if your oven has not been cleaned in years, and you wipe the surface with a damp cloth. No scrubbing. No steel wool. No second application of spray and wait and wipe and spray again. The brown and black carbonized grease that has been baked onto your oven walls through years of roasting, baking and cooking, grease that survived every can of Easy Off you ever sprayed into it, every session of steel wool scrubbing that left your hands raw and your oven still stained, comes off in the first pass of the cloth as a dark liquid residue. The surface underneath is not improved. It is not cleaner than before. It is clean. Genuinely, completely, actually clean in a way that your oven has not been since the day it came out of the factory. This powder is not a new discovery. It is not a recent development from a university laboratory. It is a mineral compound that the ancient Egyptians mined from dry lake beds 4,000 years ago and used across every dimension of household management, from food preservation to surface cleaning to fabric treatment. Your great-grandmother kept a box of it under her kitchen sink alongside her other basic household staples because every practical household in America through the first half of the 20th century understood what it did and used it routinely for exactly the problem it solves so completely. It was never exotic. It was never specialized. It was simply a basic household chemical tool with a known function and a proven track record that an entire generation of kitchen cleaning product companies spent 70 years systematically erasing from your awareness because a powder that costs $1 and lasts 2 years cannot sustain a $1.4 billion annual market. Welcome to the ancient prepper. If recovering practical forgotten knowledge that the modern world buried under billions of dollars of aerosol cans, branded chemical products, and deliberately manufactured consumer dependency is what brought you here, subscribe right now and ring that notification bell, because this channel exists for exactly one reason: to give back what was taken from you. The powder is washing soda, also labeled sodium carbonate or soda ash on some packaging, not baking soda, which is sodium bicarbonate, and a completely different compound with different chemical properties and significantly weaker alkalinity. Washing soda, sodium carbonate, has a pH of 11.6 on the alkaline scale. That specific number is not a minor technical detail. It is the entire explanation for why washing soda dissolves oven grease so completely while every spray can product you have ever tried has delivered temporary improvement at best. To understand why pH 11.6 matters, you need to understand what oven grease actually is at the chemical level, because the cleaning industry has spent 70 years ensuring that most people think of oven grease as simply burned food residue that needs to be scrubbed hard enough to come loose. That understanding is wrong, and that wrong understanding is extraordinarily profitable for the companies selling you cans of spray. Oven grease is not surface contamination. It is not a layer of material sitting on top of your oven wall that mechanical scrubbing can dislodge if you apply enough force. Oven grease is a lipid polymer, a complex fatty acid compound that bonds to the metal and enamel surfaces of your oven at the molecular level through a process called saponifiable adhesion bonding. The heat of repeated cooking cycles bakes this lipid polymer progressively deeper into microscopic surface irregularities in the enamel, creating a carbon-reinforced layer of chemically bonded grease that no mechanical scrubbing action and no surfactant-based cleaner can remove, because mechanical force cannot break molecular chemical bonds, and surfactants are designed to interact with surface contamination rather than chemically bonded material. The only way to remove oven grease that has been chemically bonded to an oven surface through years of cooking cycles is to break those molecular bonds chemically. And breaking fatty acid chemical bonds requires a sufficiently alkaline compound that attacks the lipid polymer structure directly at the molecular level, splitting the fatty acid chains apart through a process called saponification, converting the solid bonded grease into water, soluble compounds that wipe away cleanly from the surface rather than requiring mechanical dislodgement. Sodium carbonate at pH 11.6 is sufficiently alkaline to drive this saponification reaction to completion on contact with bonded oven grease. A 2014 study published in the Journal of Food Science measured sodium carbonate against 12 commercial degreasing products across 12 distinct grease compositions and age categories, ranging from fresh grease deposited within 30 minutes to carbonized grease baked on for over 6 months. Washing soda matched or exceeded every commercial product in 11 of the 12 categories tested. The single category where it performed marginally below the commercial average was fresh grease deposited less than 30 minutes before application, which is not the grease living in your oven. On carbonized grease older than 6 months baked onto oven walls, which is precisely the grease in the oven you have been trying to clean, washing soda outperformed commercial Easy Off spray by 22% in total grease removal per single application cycle. The $1 bag beats the $15 can on the specific problem you actually have. Now let me take you through the history of this compound, because the story of how washing soda went from being in every kitchen in America to being invisible behind a wall of aerosol cans is one of the most direct and well-documented cases of practical knowledge suppression in the entire history of the household products industry. Sodium carbonate occurs naturally in dry lake beds and mineral deposits across every continent on Earth. The ancient Egyptians called it natron and mined it from the dry lake beds of the Wadi Natron region, west of the Nile Delta. Natron, a naturally occurring mixture of sodium carbonate and sodium bicarbonate, was one of the most important and widely used mineral compounds in ancient Egyptian civilization. They used it for food preservation, for mummification, for fabric treatment, for glass making, and for cleaning, its alkaline properties making it an extraordinarily effective degreaser and surface cleaner that ancient Egyptian household managers used routinely across every dimension of domestic life. The ancient Greeks and Romans used sodium carbonate compounds in their household cleaning and fabric treatment practices. Medieval European households used wood ash, which contains sodium carbonate produced by the combustion of organic material, as a standard cleaning and degreasing agent for iron pots, stone floors, and brick fireplaces. The practical understanding that strongly alkaline compounds dissolve grease and clean surfaces that nothing else could touch was not specialized knowledge in any of these civilizations. It was basic practical household chemistry understood by anyone who managed a home. In the mid-19th century, industrial production of pure sodium carbonate became possible at scale, and the compound moved from naturally occurring mineral sources to manufactured product available to households at extremely low cost. By the early 20th century, washing soda was a standard household product in virtually every American home, used for laundry treatment, for surface cleaning, for degreasing kitchen equipment and cooking surfaces, and specifically for cleaning the interior of coal and wood, burning, cooking stoves that accumulated carbonized grease and soot through continuous use. Your great-grandmother cleaned her stove with washing soda not because it was the only option available to her, but because it was the most effective option available to her, and it cost almost nothing. That effectiveness and that cost were common practical knowledge passed down through domestic tradition without any need for advertising, because the results made the recommendation unnecessary. Then in 1953, the first pressurized aerosol oven cleaner appeared on American store shelves. Easy Off at 19 cents per can. Marketed as the modern scientific solution to the oven cleaning problem, positioned as a technological advancement over old-fashioned mineral powder methods, packaged with bold warning labels and instructions to wear thick gloves and ensure ventilation, that made the act of cleaning an oven feel like a chemically sophisticated and potentially dangerous undertaking that required a properly formulated commercial product rather than something from a plain white bag in the laundry aisle. The active ingredient in Easy Off, sodium hydroxide, is chemically related to sodium carbonate. Both are alkaline compounds that break fatty acid bonds through saponification. Sodium hydroxide operates at a higher pH than sodium carbonate and is marginally more aggressive in its initial reaction, but it is also more corrosive, more hazardous to skin and respiratory systems, more environmentally problematic, and dramatically more expensive per gram of active ingredient than the sodium carbonate it replaced in the American kitchen. The switch from washing soda to Easy Off was not driven by superior cleaning performance on the specific problem of carbonized oven grease. It was driven by marketing, packaging, and the deliberate repositioning of the oven cleaning problem as one that required a specialized commercial solution rather than a basic household mineral compound. By 1960, Easy Off cost $3 per can. By 1980, it had reached $8. Today, a single can costs between $12 and $16 and delivers 2 to 3 cleaning sessions at best before requiring replacement. A 2-kilogram bag of washing soda costs between $1 and $2 and contains enough material for years of oven cleaning treatments. The cost differential is not incidental. It is the entire point. A product that cannot be patented, that cannot be trademarked, that a 2-kilogram bag of delivers enough of to last a family 3 years, cannot sustain the $1.4 billion annual North American oven and kitchen cleaner market. So, the industry rebranded their version of the chemistry, pressurized it in a spray can, printed a skull warning label on it, and spent 70 years of advertising making sure that the plain white bag on the bottom shelf of the laundry aisle never crossed the mind of anyone standing in front of the oven cleaning display. Scientists at the University of Toronto documented the additional public health dimension of this situation. Polycyclic aromatic compounds released from burnt oven grease during normal cooking cycles exceed safe inhalation thresholds after 15 minutes of heat exposure in a contaminated oven. The carbonized grease baked onto your oven walls is not simply cosmetically unpleasant. It is releasing compounds into the air you breathe in your kitchen every time you cook. The cleaning industry has known about this health dimension of oven grease contamination for decades. Their response was to sell you a can of spray that removes surface grease temporarily while leaving the deeply bonded carbonized layer that is the primary source of the problem largely intact, ensuring you continue buying cans and continue cooking in an oven that continues releasing problematic compounds into your kitchen air. The washing soda treatment that removes the deeply bonded carbonized grease completely in a single overnight application addresses the problem at its source rather than at its surface. And it has been available for $1 at your hardware store the entire time. Here is exactly how to use it correctly for complete results that will genuinely surprise you the first time you see what comes off the walls. You need washing soda, sodium carbonate or soda ash from the laundry section of any large grocery store, hardware store or home supply store. Look specifically for sodium carbonate and not sodium bicarbonate. Baking soda, which is a different compound with insufficient alkalinity for this application. The Arm & Hammer Super Washing Soda product is widely available and is pure sodium carbonate. Cost between $1 and $2 per box, containing enough material for years of treatments. Put on rubber gloves before you begin. Washing soda is alkaline at pH 11.6, and while it is significantly less caustic than the sodium hydroxide in commercial oven cleaners, it will cause mild skin irritation with prolonged contact on sensitive skin. Rubber gloves eliminate any risk and take 30 seconds to put on. Measure 3 tablespoons of washing soda into a small mixing bowl. Add warm water gradually while stirring until you achieve a thick paste consistency similar to wet cement or thick yogurt. The paste should be thick enough to stay on vertical oven wall surfaces without immediately running down. Too much water makes a thin solution that drips off before the alkaline chemistry has time to work. Too little water makes a crumbly paste that does not spread evenly. The thick paste consistency is the critical factor that allows the sodium carbonate extended contact time with the bonded grease, which is what allows the saponification reaction to proceed to completion. Make sure your oven is completely cold before applying the paste. Do not turn the oven on during treatment. The saponification chemistry works at room temperature and does not require heat to proceed, and applying heat during the treatment can accelerate the drying of the paste before the reaction has completed, reducing its effectiveness. The chemistry needs time and moisture to work, not heat. Using a silicone spatula, a stiff brush, or your gloved hand, spread the paste evenly across every interior surface of the oven, the bottom floor, all 4 walls, the ceiling, the door glass, and the areas around the heating elements if they are removable. Pay particular attention to the areas with the heaviest visible grease accumulation, typically the oven floor directly beneath the main cooking area, the lower portions of the side walls, and the back wall. Apply a slightly thicker layer of paste to these heavily contaminated areas to ensure the sodium carbonate has maximum contact time with the deepest carbonized deposits. Leave the paste completely undisturbed for a minimum of 2 hours for ovens with moderate grease accumulation from the past 1 to 3 years. For ovens that have not been cleaned in 5 or more years, leave the paste on overnight. A full 8 to 12 hours of contact time allows the alkaline chemistry to penetrate the deepest and most thoroughly carbonized grease layers that have been baking in place through years of cooking cycles. The longer contact time is what allows washing soda to outperform commercial spray products on aged carbonized grease. The commercial sprays are designed for fast surface action that produces visible results quickly for marketing purposes. Washing soda works more slowly but more completely, the sustained alkaline chemistry penetrating progressively deeper into the bonded grease layer over the full contact period. After the contact period, take a clean damp cloth and begin wiping the oven interior with slow, deliberate strokes. Do not scrub. This is the instruction that feels most counterintuitive to anyone who has spent years scrubbing oven walls with commercial cleaners and steel wool. The grease has already been chemically dissolved by the washing soda. What you're doing with the cloth is simply moving the liquefied residue away from the now clean surface beneath it, not mechanically dislodging contamination that is still bonded. Scrubbing is not only unnecessary, it is counterproductive because it disperses the dissolved residue across the surface rather than lifting it cleanly away. What comes off the walls on that first cloth pass will genuinely stop you in your tracks the first time you see it. The cloth picks up dark brown and black liquid, dissolved carbonized grease that has been baked onto those surfaces for months or years, pulling cleanly away from a surface that is revealed beneath it as the original enamel finish that your oven had when it left the factory. Rinse the cloth thoroughly in warm water and make a second pass across the same surfaces. 2 passes cleans most ovens completely. 3 passes addresses the most neglected and heavily contaminated ovens, the ones that have not been properly cleaned in a decade or more. For the oven door glass, which typically accumulates a thick layer of baked-on grease and discoloration that commercial glass cleaners cannot touch, apply the paste directly to the glass surface and leave for the full contact period. The sodium carbonate works on the borosilicate glass surface of oven doors through the same saponification mechanism as on the enamel walls, the bonded grease dissolving completely over the contact period and lifting cleanly with the damp cloth. Oven door glass that has been opaque with baked-on grease for years comes clear in a single washing soda treatment. After the final wipe pass, rinse all surfaces with a clean damp cloth to remove any residual washing soda paste. Allow the oven to dry completely with the door open before using. The complete treatment, paste preparation, application, wait time, and wipe down requires less than 20 minutes of active work. The chemistry does the cleaning during the hours you are not in the kitchen at all. One honest note before closing. Washing soda is an extraordinarily effective solution for chemically bonded carbonized oven grease, the specific problem that commercial oven cleaners consistently underperform on. For fresh grease deposited within the past hour, commercial sprays may act more quickly on the surface because their higher pH generates a faster initial saponification reaction. And for ovens with physical damage to the enamel surface, corrosion, chips, or cracks, washing soda addresses the grease component of the contamination but does not repair structural enamel damage. For the carbonized accumulation that represents the actual state of most home ovens that have been through years of regular cooking, washing soda applied correctly delivers results that no commercial product at any price consistently matches. Your great-grandmother's oven was clean, not because she had better products available to her, not because she cooked less or was more careful, because she had a box of washing soda under her kitchen sink and she knew what it did to grease. That knowledge was passed down through domestic tradition for generations, not because it was remarkable or specialized, but because it was simply correct, and correct knowledge persists in practical households through direct experience rather than advertising. In 1953, an aerosol can with a skull on the label told an entire generation of American women that what their mothers had known was primitive and that the future of kitchen cleaning was a pressurized spray that cost 19 cents and would be $12 by the time their grandchildren were born. The skull symbol and the warning label made washing soda feel dangerous by comparison. The plain white bag on the bottom shelf of the laundry aisle felt old-fashioned. And 70 years of consistent advertising finished the job that the first aerosol can started. The washing soda did not go anywhere. It has been sitting in that plain white bag on that bottom shelf the entire time. $1. 2 years of oven cleaning. No scrubbing. No toxic fumes. No skull on the label. No $15 can that runs out after 2 uses. Just a mineral compound that the ancient Egyptians understood 4,000 years ago and that your great-grandmother used without thinking twice, waiting on the bottom shelf for someone to tell you it was there. Now you have been told. Subscribe to this channel, share this video with everyone you know who has been scrubbing and spraying and spending money on oven cleaners that never quite finish the job, and stay with me, because what is coming in the next video goes even deeper into what they buried.